Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen. Today we stand in the proposition side of the House, in the side of the least inefficient proposal and believes in creating incentives for actual change. The side of the opposition seems to agree with many things with us. They seem to agree that we needed to change something in our current lifestyle to make better environmental practices. And they also seem to believe that technologies are something good. We encourage the use of new technologies. What we seem not to agree on is the mechanisms to pursue a limit in the amount of emissions per country. Ladies and gentlemen, the Acid Rain program of the 1990, the Clean Air Act in the US, reduced sulfuric oxide emissions by more than 50% in around 15 years, and at a cost 80% cheaper than just mere limitations and tremendous taxes. Ladies and gentlemen, this shows to you that actually it is an efficient proposal, and they kept telling us about how it was not true and not a true pollution decrease. During my speech, I will deal with the third argument of the proposition side, which is a solution for the developing world. But I would like to remind you that my teammate Antonio talked to you about the importance of incentives and the efficiency of trading polluting quotas. But Bernardo seemed to ignore a lot of the fact that we wanted incentives. Ladies and gentlemen, Bernardo just told us we don't want to provide a way in which they can avoid, in which countries can avoid the limit, in which countries can avoid the quota. But then, ladies and gentlemen, they came with a brilliant idea that even if you don't act responsibly and you go above your quota, they're giving them a way out, which is the tax. And the fact, no, thank you, sir. The fact that they are contradicting in their own proposal is something that worries us in the proposition side. Ladies and gentlemen, they ignored that incentives needed to be given to our society. Yes, we would like to be in an ideal world where we value the environment so much that we really need incentives, economic incentives, to change. But ladies and gentlemen, this is not true. We recognize it, and therefore we provide a feasible action. We just don't provide a drink. We don't provide a mask. Theirs is the mask. Ladies and gentlemen, taxes won't be necessarily effective, as we proved to you, because taxes doesn't give a reward. My teammate Antonio basically used 3 minutes that they ignored of his speech about incentives. $64 billion were exchanged in the carbon market. Certainly, all countries have incentives to get a share of this portion of the money in the market. And therefore, we believe that it is a reward if they are reducing emissions so that they can sell and trade with quotas. Ladies and gentlemen, they talked to us about deterrence in their second argument, and they told us that taxes were a very good deterrent. Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, taxes are not a reward, ladies and gentlemen. And they told us that taxes were effective at the same time that they told us that the US negated the Kyoto Protocol just because he didn't want to pay for quotas. So obviously they wouldn't like to pay for a tremendous tax that they keep telling us. They haven't told us what amount, but I'm sure that the United States will not agree to pay part of its GDP on taxes. Actually, President Obama, who has made several pledges in the last years, has told the world that the US search to initiate a program on cap-and-trade system to reduce global warming footprint. But ladies and gentlemen, has President Obama given us true actions on this? Yes. Because our position is actually a feasible one. And for the first time, we heard in June 26 of 2009 that the House of Representatives passed a bill that would reduce 70% of the emissions starting in 2009 and until the year 2020. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, this bill was passed along with investment. Yes, the US is interested actually in our proposal, which is to trade quotas. Yes, because they have experience on the Acid Rain program, which I talked to you about in the beginning of my speech, and it has worked, ladies and gentlemen. So we need incentives, and it has been efficient. But also, we don't need to believe in true pollution ideas, which they just kept telling us, but there is no foundations on that, ladies and gentlemen. And also, the deterrents that they propose are just not feasible. Now, going into my substantive material, ladies and gentlemen, a solution also for the developing world. Pollution is actually a product and a result of industrialization. That is why we are aware in the proposition side that 4 countries actually are producing more pollution than the rest of the world. And yes, we want to support, we stand here today to encourage these countries to use these systems, such as the US is right now changing the system. As a matter of fact, China ratified the Kyoto Protocol and accepted it. Don't you think so?
No, I don't think so. I think that these countries which are already emitting a lot of carbon dioxide should be put a cap on them, not just
Thank you. Exactly, we're putting them a cap. I don't know if you heard, but the first words that Antonio told us was that our scheme was a cap and trade scheme. We want to limit, we allow a gradual change. They want to change from one day to the other. This is not possible, it won't happen, and the US will not pay the tax. Ladies and gentlemen, pollution is a product of industrialization. We are aware that developing countries not necessarily emit as much gases as developed ones. However, we realize that they are on the path to industrialization, being a developed country. But ladies and gentlemen, by providing trading within the quotas, we enable them to get resources, more resources than the national budgets they have, in order to keep with industrialization. But we also constrain them with the quota system into having a green industrialization, so that the harm that right now the developed countries have done isn't created also in the current developing countries. So yes, we are going to give them, again, the incentive for profit, the incentive to get funds for their green industrialization. Thank you, sir. Right now, the developing world is just a waste disposal of the developed world. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 days ago, Trafigura, which is a company of chemicals, had to pay compensation to citizens in the Ivory Coast that had to do with polluting the environment and harming around 30,000 civilians. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't want this to continue. What we're going to do is give a solution to the developing world. We're going to give power to the developing world. Because the developing world are the ones that are going to be in charge of setting the prices at which they want to sell their quota, what they haven't used of their quota. And so they will tell the US, yes, if you don't want to pay as much, then reduce your emissions. Stop putting your wastes in Somalia or the Ivory Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, they will have the power to tell them, because the price constraint, which actually works in the developed country, to tell them, yes, you want my quota, I'll sell it at a high price, or I will sell it if you stop this kind of pollution. So it is on these grounds, ladies and gentlemen, on the grounds of the importance of incentives, the efficiency of trading quotas, and a solution for the developing world and the developed world, that we stand proposing this motion.